Hello, this is RedMcNed, and I'm here for some water fountain designs and water sculptures. As you can see, I have a few of them ready over here, and I kind of want to show a couple things you can do with them, with water and making sort of fountains in particular that don't have anything in them. You know, I think it's always cool to throw stuff like this into your world, just because people end up being wondering like, well, how'd you make them? And because the water mechanics are so weird in this game, it's kind of cool to them for good instead of evil, or maybe you display them for evil. Whatever you want to do. The fact is, you can do things that are kind of cool with them. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make all these, and from left to right, you can consider them as 1 through 7. And I put in the description shortcuts to each of them if you want to get their builds on their own. But I'm going to start with laying down a few of the sort of basics of making these things work the way they are. Okay, to start off, we're gonna cover a few basic bases, some basics for how to build with how to build these structures, and I'll give you right now the core concept of this right now. I hope you're taking notes. That's it. This is the basic principle at work here. Everything else that I do is just building off the fact that right here, this right here, is possible in Minecraft. So you can do higher, lower, wider, narrower, anything you want. But the fact that you can have the water stay and defy gravity, sort of, and just like stay up there, is the main thing we're working with. So that being said, you can do some really basic things. I'll say basic because it's going to get more complicated. But here's a simple design of a waterfall using this technology, this method, this procedural process. There you have it. That's kind of a nice little design. If you wanted to fill in the corners, it would be more complete. But we'll look at a couple other things that you need to know. The first one is that if you put down blocks and you take away the blocks after putting water on top of it, the water will stay. And there's a couple other things that happen with water that you should also be aware of when doing this. Now this phenomenon right here is sort of how selective water can be about where it flows. I talked about it in a little bit more in depth in my last video on waterfalls and water mechanics, but I'll give you a rundown that, like, water tries to go toward the quickest way down, and if there is a tie for the quickest way down, it'll go to both of those. And sometimes it'll travel quite a long ways to do it. And I believe it'll travel up to 5 blocks before it says, no, not going to do it anymore. It's going to just fan out every direction. So using that, you can actually make towers based on having the water only go specific directions. Like, if you put this down and take away the block that's underneath it, the water that is, and take everything away, you end up with sort of a strange sight indeed. Just water that's just, chilling, just kind of flowing on its own. but it keeps its structure since the source block is up here. Now, some things that keep this from happening properly, and by the way, that is the narrowest water tower I can make, is just a 1x2 sort of tower, is if you don't take away the bottom block, well, it'll be okay. But if you have anything else going on the sides, it'll cause it to update and flow in any other direction. But it will, you know, this is just the fun of water. It'll choose directions, and then if there's another update, it'll flow different directions. So whenever a block is placed or removed next to it, it'll decide to change. One of the things you can do, though, to actually, you know what, that might be all that I need to say about that. I thought I was gonna have to say more, but oh yes, if you take away the bottom block last, thank you, random chance of of correcting me. If you take away the bottom block last, you can have the whole thing essentially redirect itself. So it gets a block update just as if something's next to it. So this can't be the last block left, otherwise it'll all fan out and you won't get the same block. So always take out the blocks that are touching it first, and always start with the ones that are directly underneath. So now that we're done with kind of looking at some of the basic stuff, we can get to some of the towers here. Oh hey, what happened? What happened to all the towers that I built? They seem to have disappeared. Alright, well, whatever. Anyways, let's start with a very basic and kind of cool thing that you can do. This is officially tower number 1. But I'm going to make this 10 high for the purposes of this. So this is going to be kind of a big tower. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is mainly just to illustrate some cool things you can do. We'll go ahead and put the tower, put the water on top, and you can do stuff to change this. If you like it the way it is, you can take out the blocks and just say, yeah, that's great. It's a nice, you know, blue water tower thing. But there's some cool stuff you can do, like pick a spot and put a block down. Maybe you want to make it symmetrical. You start getting into some interesting shapes. If you take away the block, it's still there. So, you know, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll go down a little bit further and do the same thing. Oops. And alright, there's some stuff's going on. And let's see, you can let's see, we're about 4 away from the bottom. Go ahead and make a ring around it here, so the water does whatever it does. And big finish out, and do something like that. Maybe too high. Whatever, the point of this is that whatever I'm doing it symmetrically. So like if I'm doing it to one side, do it to the other, or all sides. And it's sort of just like coming up with things that you want to try almost. And you know, if you really don't, you could always start over. But if you do, then cool, you get yourself a tower. Since this is flowing in all directions, it doesn't really matter if you take away this one last or not, but normally I take away bottom to top, just a little extra insurance policy. So that's a pretty cool looking tower. If you want to finish it off, like I do, you can give it a little base. A little base. Or sort of a thing to kind of house it, you know. So it's not just like wrecking havoc on the land or, you know. Cool. I would then put water in every other square along one side, and then every other square along the next side, and the whole thing should fill in. And there you have it. It's a lovely water fountain. I'm going to call it number 1 because it's number 1. That's going to be really tough to see. I mean, it was really tough to see when these existed already. Anyways, we're going to go on to the next one. So for this one, it's just going to illustrate one point. It's kind of similar to that one, is that you can kind of make a structure and then just pour water on top of it and kind of see what happens, and usually you'll get good stuff. So what I'm going to do is make a pyramid, and it's going to be hollow because there's no point in filling it in, at least to the best of my abilities. Maybe I'll just make it that tall. Okay, cool. So I've made this sort of pyramid looking structure. I put water on top of it, and cool. Now you just put the box around it again. Alright, just like magic. Oh, I gotta put the water in though. Okay, now it's like magic. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and title this number 2, and look at that, the format is already different. Like, that did not take long at all. Sorry you OCD people out there. I am not going to be your friend. I will try though. I'll try to be your friend. But I'm not probably gonna. I want to point out that you don't have to take away the blocks inside of these fountains if you don't want. But you can. You totally can. So I guess one of the things that appeals to me, you can go ahead and say it, about taking out all of the rocks or the pieces inside, is people wonder, how do you make that? That's a very interesting, you know, or maybe I just think that they think that. They probably just like, oh, that's easy, whatever. But I don't know, it's kind of fun to sort of make people think twice. And this is just for fun right now too, but this is something else you can do. If you got a lot of space in the middle to work with and you want to just confuse people further or whatever, you can make it look like that's the source of the water or something. To do something kind of like a, I don't know, if you want to do like a Bellagio sort of thing. Like those big jet towers in Vegas. I would probably go with 3 or 4 in between. And these are all 5 high. Are they? I think they're not. 5. Okay, these were 4. And maybe give these an extra boost of 3. Then you can do sort of like a jet fountains kind of thing going on, where like they shoot up from the bottom and go up into the air. So if you take out the the stuff inside and put a little box around it and fill it in with water, you get something kind of like this. And I think these can look pretty cool. You can do whatever height you want. It's the beauty of it. And it's just those 4 blocks of water. So I'll put this as, oh, there's no middle. Number 3. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to go into another one that I call the sort of concrete Christmas tree model. So this is a design that I like to use. Basically, I'm going to make a tower, but I'm going to have cross sections. And they're going to crisscross at specific lengths. Like, I built up, the first one is at 3 high, and it's 2 long. Next one, well, I guess 5 total, but I'll just go with the side lengths. It sticks out 2, then 2. And this one's going to stick out 3. And this one's going to stick out 3. Just keep building the tower. It's all centered on the tower. This is just going to be 1. This is going to be 1. And there's going to be nothing, and 1 more up here. Then I'm going to take away the bottom one directly beneath. Then I'm going to take away these 2 on the sides. Now what you're going to proceed to do is remove everything from the top down, despite what my warning from earlier. And what's going to happen is the water is only coming down from here. It's hitting this spot. It's only going to flow this way and not straight out, because this is the closest drop off. If you take away the source block underneath it, or the block underneath it, I'll just say that, you can go down and hit the next one. And from there, it sort of repeats what happened previously. Like, it hit this, goes down, hits the next one. And if you do that, here I'll just get rid of all of them. I like this design because it sort of has layers. It's a little bit more complex than something like this one or that one, where it's obvious where the levels are. This one looks a bit more randomized. Then we can put a base around it and fill it in. You get something that looks kind of like this. And I think it's going in the direction of something that's a little bit more nuanced and a bit harder to kind of decipher exactly how it was made, which is what I think is pretty cool. So moving on to a couple other interesting examples. This next one I'll just refer to as the Saruman's Tower, because I think it has some resemblance. Only this is going to be made entirely out of water. So let's go 15 high for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sort of a base for the water. This is just to know where the center is. I'm going to build out 2 rows of 3 like this from each of the middles, whatever. And once you have this, go, let's see, let's go to up, yeah, and make the same little rectangle right next to it. I'm going to do that to all of the sides. Now once you have that, and I'll go ahead and put this back in. I don't know what sort of consequences that could have if I don't. But you can actually get rid of all of this on all four. And I think we're ready. Just put down the water. It's only going to run one direction on the inside. Now you can take away the under part first. The rest should be fine. I like to go ahead. Actually, whatever you do, just put the water on the corners. And you have yourself a Saruman's Tower. Just take out. Can't talk. You can just fill it all in too if you just want to do that. Take away everything. And now it just looks nice. There's not really anything to stand on. 5. Yeah. All right. So you trust me when I say it's the same. It's going up 3, then it's 2 out, 2 out, 3 out, 3 out, 1 out, 1 out. Then the top looks like this. The water's still going to go here. So I'm going to take out this first, and then these two. And it's going to pour down the sides just like before. We're going to keep it as is, but we're going to make a few modifications. One of them is actually getting rid of this all together from the front and the back. So it's just going to be a straight cut down. And I'll get back to the other one after we put the water down. So you put it down, you take away that in the middle, then you take away the sides, yada yada. This time, when you take away this and this, you're going to put an extra one here on the very bottom one, and then on top, take out the one on bottom, and then take out the one on top. Pretty cool, huh? It's some advanced tactics right there. Do the same thing with the other side. I'll show it in slow motion. Yeah, cool. And let's see. Oh, maybe I did keep a little bit going. So maybe I did do that. Yeah, whoa, yeah, my bad. On the, but everything else is the same. Then a last little touch after that is going from this corner out 1, down 2, and a diagonal from that. Boom. Okay. I'm gonna make a 5 tall tower. We're gonna do that in every corner just the same way. So this is, you need to put water on top of each of these. Take out all of the stone and build a nice little water fountain base. Alright, almost, let's put a little two tower right here. Two high tower. Just, on the front and back. And this will be just about good. So that's kind of a nice looking design, I think. It's one that I like to kind of throw up in front of my mansions and my chateaus and my abodes and my farmhouses and sheds. So this is 6. And let me think. I think I have another design. Since you stuck with me this long, this one's a bit of a umbrella-looking one, so let's call it the umbrella. So we're gonna go up 15. Yeah, we're definitely in big territory right off the bat. So we're gonna make a. I like to do that just to make sure we know where the middle is. I'm gonna put 3 on each side, like this. Now we're gonna make steps, kind of. I say kind of because at this point you're gonna go down 2 instead of 1. And that's it. You're going to do that to every side. Or now that you have that, just go ahead and put water right at the top of each step. And it's going to go in a straight line because that's where it's wants to fall to. It's selected its path. The path of least resistance. So I guess in that sense it is kind of like water. It goes the path of least resistance, but still seems weird to see all those walls. Take away the bottom. Ooh, this is an interesting one. You actually want to start from the bottom for this one. Taking them away. Just because I don't know what'll happen if you don't. The consequences, there could be some. Now I can just take the rest of it out of there. Just out of there. Alright, now you have a sort of an interesting wall-like shape. I'd go ahead and make like not all the way out, squaring off the distances, but maybe like right here. It doesn't matter how far out in the diagonal you go, as long as it's the same on every side. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm gonna do a I'll do a 6 tall tower. Once they're all down, just put some water on it, each of them. All right, and there you got it. That's there you got it. And I think that's the last of the designs that I have for kind of illustrating the types of things you can do. Just as another thing, I tend to put a little buffer space of 1 block around the edge of any of the falling water, just to kind of, you know, curve it around and give it character. So it doesn't always have to be like this, like perfectly. It can kind of meander, but that's just another thing that I like to do. But I think it looks like a cool design. And that pretty much sums up the designs that I had ready. So as you can see, there's a lot of cool things you can do, but I'm sure there's plenty of other awesome things you can do. Like, I don't know, there's plenty more designs out there. I bet you could probably make a castle out of these, like to have those as the pillars, or maybe have like a water wall, or you know, bigger, more complex version of these. But, you know, it's something better than just like a tower that just is one, you know, boring looking tower or anything. But yeah, feel free to use any of these ideas, and thanks for oh, now my ooh, interesting. Now my tutorial stuff is gone. Something sneaky's happening. But anyways, this has been RedMcNed, and I hope these I have given you some cool ideas, and I hope you have fun building with them.